We usually start off with an amplified cold open to preview what's to come in the review, but I'd like to bring it down a few notches and take this time to congratulate one Rebecca Quinn. No matter how I or any of us felt about the character or the booking of Becky Lynch, the person behind the character, Rebecca Quinn, has always been a stand-up, badass motherfucker. Cool, kind, and respectful to everyone she's ever come across. So forget Becky Lynch for a minute. I want to take a moment to sincerely congratulate Rebecca Quinn on her announcement that she is going to be a mother, which also warrants a congratulations to the father-to-be as well, Colby Lopez. Man, this would have been so cool if they did this one night earlier at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view on Mother's Day. Could you guys picture that? Asuka wins the match. Becky comes out to make the announcement that she's going to be a mother on Mother's Day. I mean, you couldn't write a better script in Hollywood. And then Becky Lynch looks at Asuka and tells Asuka, you thought you were battling for a briefcase. You thought you were fighting for a future shot at the title. Asuka, you may want to look inside that briefcase. And Asuka pops that son of a bitch open and sees the Raw Women's Championship sitting inside of it. She, like all of us at home, realizes what is happening. She has just become the new Raw Women's Champion. That would have been a memorable, worthy pay-per-view moment that we just don't get anymore these days. I mean, that was sitting in their lap. It's Mother's Day, man! But they decided to wait till Monday Night Raw. And in all honesty, guys, it was still an epic, very personal, very real, authentic, memorable moment when Lynch told Asuka that her Money in the Bank match wasn't just for a shot at the title, but it was actually for the title. And Asuka realizes, just like us at home, what is happening. She has just become the new Raw Women's Champion. And Asuka celebrated. She did laps around ringside. She got up on the commentary table and she made sure the world knew that she had just became the Raw Women's Champion. And I don't blame her for being that excited, because in that moment she was probably thinking of all the hard work, the struggle it took, starting in Japan, moving to the United States, and into Orlando. Going through that same PC. Battling through NXT, getting to the main roster, only to be told time and time again by the old man in Stamford, Connecticut, in a roundabout way, that you're not good enough like Charlotte Flair. You're not good enough like my golden child. Or Alexa Bliss. Or you have to take a back seat to people like Nia Jax. Because for the last several years, that's what Asuka was told. Directly or indirectly. Oh, you have a streak? That's adorable. It ends tonight with Charlotte Flair. That's what she was told at WrestleMania 34. Oh, did we give you a Royal Rumble victory? We didn't mean that. You're not actually going to win the title match. And then she's placed in irrelevancy and obscurity. For lengthy periods at a time, they throw her a consolation prize. They throw her a bone in the form of tag team titles with Kyrie. And you wouldn't even know they were champions, still placed in obscurity, still not a focal point of any of the shows. And last night is a culminating moment. Doesn't matter how she got there. To say she's not deserving of the championship, you'd have a couple 2-3 screws loose up in your dome piece. You fell on your dome piece a couple 2-3 too many times as a child, because there's no way anybody can say Asuka doesn't deserve the damn thing. So the only thing you'd be upset about is, oh, they should have had it vacant and it should have been done in a tournament style to decide the new champion. You're welcome to your opinion, dude. That would have been fine too. Any way they wanted to go about this, there's no wrong way. Asuka battled for that briefcase. What's right is right. It should have been for the damn title. Becky Lynch admitted she knew beforehand. Becky Lynch's story in that promo last night, Becky Lynch said she went to officials and she asked that they make that Money in the Bank ladder match, not just for a briefcase, not just for a future shot, but for the actual title. Listen to Lynch's promo last night. She said she asked for it. So if you knew ahead of time that you could no longer be champion, if you knew ahead of time that you were saying goodbye to WWE for the foreseeable future, she's saying goodbye, not just for the rest of 2020. Trust me, when you become a mother, you don't just pop a son of a bitch out and you're like, oh, gotta go now. She's gonna be gone for at least the better part of 2021 as well. You ain't seeing Becky Lynch for a long time. And if she knew she was saying goodbye to WWE, if she knew she was dropping that championship, then that Money in the Bank ladder match shouldn't just be a briefcase dangling high above. It should be a championship hanging high above. So I'm damn fine with the title going directly to Asuka. A, she fucking more than deserves it. And B, what the fuck is the alternative? You put the son of a bitch up in a vacancy? You do a tournament now? Is that really going to be that much more fun, guys? You're going to see this big women's tournament in front of nobody. There's no fucking crowd. The fuck is your little meaningless, predetermined, rehearsed tournament going to do? I can't stand tournaments in pro wrestling. It's not the fucking NBA or the fucking NFL playoffs or the Major League Baseball World Series. It's not a fucking tournament. It's pro wrestling. You have a champion, you have a fucking challenger. We're gonna see who the fucking winner of this fucking tournament bracket is. When everybody knows what we're watching is fucking predetermined. We don't give a fuck about who's somebody in the back, some suit and tie dumb fuck, or the old man in Stanford, who they're gonna choose to win a fucking predetermined tournament. I don't give a fuck. People take tournaments so serious in pro wrestling. Like we're actually going to find out who the best wrestler is. The fuck are you talking about? There's people complaining about that this morning. Oh, Asuka shouldn't be the champ. It should have been vacant. Fuck are you talking about? You just had a bunch of ladies fighting for the opportunity to get that title. When Becky Lynch already knew she wasn't going to be champion. How is that not a right call? I could see if you're just giving it to like fucking Dana Brooke. Or if Alicia Fox gets brought back out of nowhere and she just gets thrown a championship, then I understand what you're saying. The fact that they determined that Asuka was the most worthy to get that championship, the fact that they didn't want to do a tournament in front of fucking nobody, like they do with the fucking cruiserweights, I don't fucking blame them at all. You can't win with this fucking community. It's the same motherfuckers that have been saying, probably like myself, for months, for years, Asuka deserves more. And when she gets the title, it should have been this way. It should be a tournament, basically. Fuck your tournament. Fuck. Be happy the title is on the right motherfucker. The right sequence of events occurred. She won the Money in the Bank. She got the title. That's what matters. What happens next is what we need to be concerned about. Stop bitching about non-relevant bullshit. Don't worry about how Asuka got it right now. Be happy she finally fucking has the thing that she should have had all along. We all have to shift our focus on what happens next, because this can make or break Asuka going forward. Give her a meaningful, lengthy title run now. Or they could make this all meaningless and make her a transitional champion. Just place that title onto the next. Right? Like Shayna Baszler wins it next month. And we love Shayna. And in the future, Shayna deserves a lot of fucking titles, most likely. Right now, Shayna deserves a lot better booking than what they've placed her in. But you could say that about 99% of the roster. But I don't want to see Baszler taking that title from Asuka in a month or even 2 months. Give Asuka a fucking reign. You just gave Becky Lynch over a fucking year. Asuka doesn't deserve a fucking summer with it? Oh, man, I tell you, people will bitch just a bitch. The better part of 2+ years, Asuka deserves this. Asuka deserves that. Asuka needs to be booked better. Asuka deserves this title. Asuka deserves a title reign. And she gets it. Oh, it should have been a tournament. The title should have been vacant. That was too easy. I can't win with motherfuckers. So that's my hot take on this whole Asuka-Becky Lynch situation. Asuka becomes the new Raw Women's Champion, and Becky Lynch says goodbye to WWE, at least for the foreseeable future. Because I assure you guys, this is a goodbye of sorts. This isn't just for the rest of 2020 while she's pregnant. She's gonna miss most of, if not all, of 2021 as well. I mean, she's not just backpacking through Europe. She's having a fucking kid. That entails more than just the 9 months you're pregnant. It also entails the post-pregnancy. It also entails raising a baby. You can't just pop the son of a bitch out and go, okay, see you later, Colby. I'm gonna go hit the road for 200 days now, out of the year. No, man, this is a goodbye, you know. And Becky Lynch fans, I know that's hard to grasp the concept, but you can look at the silver lining as well. You can look at the blessing in all this. For the roster, it's a chance for a lot of the women to stand the fuck up, step the fuck up, and take the spot if they think they can do such. You know, this creates a huge chance and opportunity for so many. It's a hole that is waiting to be filled. You know, who's gonna... Yeah, and it's more than just the women that wants it the most. You know, the old man in Stamford has to get behind him too. The political machine, as much bullshit as it is, has to get behind them. I mean, there's going to be a lot of factors, but there is a huge gap that needs to be filled now. And as it pertains to Rebecca Quinn, Becky Lynch, this is good for her too. You know, this is pressing the reset button. And when she comes back, all the things that she wanted to change or rearrange or do differently as Becky Lynch, Rebecca Quinn will have that chance when she comes back. And who knows, we might see the best version of Becky Lynch we've ever seen when she does come back. Becky Lynch took to social media afterwards when Monday Night Raw was off the air, and she thanked her fans, and she left a heartfelt message. Becky Lynch said, and I quote, "I have no idea what happens from here, but I do know that you've made all of my dreams come true. I entered the PC in 2013 not knowing anyone. I'll leave that same building tonight with my new family. Thank you all so much." So again, this was a heartfelt message by Becky Lynch. This is obviously not just a fucking storyline, or this is not something that fucking Becky Lynch is just, she's trying to make it look good for camera. If you know the woman behind the Becky Lynch character, Rebecca Quinn is super emotional. And, you know, this is really just, this is a huge time in her life, man. And this is just raw emotion out of her. So that's always cool to see, you know. And we truly, here on the Amplified channel, no matter how hard we've been on the Becky Lynch character, we truly, I'm going to say this again, we truly wish her and Colby, Seth, nothing but the best with this whole having a kid thing. It's something that doesn't... It doesn't intrigue me. You know how I feel, guys. If you've been a follower from the channel from day one, you know how I feel about kids. Now, if the woman that I am with one day says, hey, I want to have kids, you know, there's not much more I can say. Yes, it is a two-way street. Yes, we both have a say in it, but I can't keep somebody from having a kid, or... you know, many things are going to happen. I'm going to stop getting laid, A. B, I'm not going to be in a relationship. And, you know, she'll find somebody else. That's what happened with, Nikki Bella and John Cena, right? Aside from the fact that John Cena had 1,006 rules before you even stepped foot in his house. I mean, this dude was a fucking robotic, to say the least. He had so many rules. I don't see how any female could be a week with John Cena. But Nikki Bella stuck it out. But when it came time to have a kid, John Cena is kind of like the amplified man. John Cena's the same way as me. We'd rather not have kids if it was totally up to us. For John Cena, it wasn't just totally up to him. Nikki Bella had to say goodbye. And now Nikki Bella is obviously having a kid with somebody else right now as we speak. I mean, not like popping it out, but she is pregnant. I don't know where this is going, guys. Where is this going? Oh, yeah. No, we're congratulating Becky and Seth, Rebecca and Colby. That's what we're doing, And again, it's something that doesn't interest me personally, but I know that a lot of people in this world, having a kid is the most precious thing you could do on earth. For a lot of people, it's what they're placed on earth for, to be a mother, to be a father, and that fills a void in their lives. Again, I just don't have that void to be filled. I never felt like I needed, and I never really felt a want to have kids. So if it ever happens in the future, trust me, it's going to be more of the female that I'm with, and I'm cool with that. I'm not going to say no to that notion. It's not that I'm refusing to have kids like John Cena has done with Nikki, or so we've heard. I'll do it myself, but it just doesn't interest a lot of people. But Becky Lynch actually said, I don't know if this was social media or in an interview, but she said that she tried. I think this was actually on her social media. She said that she thought for years about how much she wanted to be a mother, but she was putting her career first. So it's interesting, But people are different like that, I mean, like some people just have that void that needs to be filled. They feel like that's what they need to be. And other people just, are just focusing on their career and don't have any want at all. There's no desire to have a kid, and to each their own. I always find it interesting. And by interesting, I mean very odd, very awkward that people with kids will always go up to people that don't have kids and say, "Oh, well, when are you gonna have a kid? When's one gonna be due?" And I'm like, what? What kind of question is that? Maybe some people don't want to spend 9 months pregnant and then for the next 18 years up front raise another human being. Change their fucking diapers, feed them for 18 years, go through the teenage bullshit. Maybe that doesn't interest human beings, Are we really having a fucking 10-minute talk on having kids or not? Welcome to the Amplified channel, baby. We talk about all things life. You come for a wrestling program, you're probably gonna get the Amplified man on 4 or 5 cups of fucking coffee, ranting and raving about who knows what. But that's the life lesson for all of you. If you have fucking kids, or you want kids, or you're gonna have kids in the future, please don't go up to people that don't have them and start asking why they don't have kids. Don't be a dumb schmuck, because they don't want them. Nothing that they see you doing impresses them or makes them think, I want that life. I want to change his diaper. I want to fucking chase him down in a mall. I want to feed him for 18 years. I want to fight with him for 8 fucking teenage years. I want to worry about him every fucking day and every night. I want to worry about who she's dating every night. Some people don't want to do that. That's why. This train is going off the track. Let's go back to Monday Night Raw, May 11th, 2020. We start off with Bobby Lashley defeating Humberto in the first matchup of the night. Humberto was defeated via the full Nelson. I think this was the way to go because what is the selling point of Bobby Lashley? Fuck the spear. Everybody does a spear. Roman Reigns, Goldberg, fucking Rhino. Everybody does a fucking spear. Enough. What's the selling point of Bobby Lashley? It is his strength. Sell it! If you're gonna have Bobby Lashley win these matches, show off the pure, sheer strength. It's not a hard concept to grasp. Now, I would feel more than confident if I said 90% of WWE's audience gave not one fuck about this match. And you can count me into that 90%. And I like Humberto. And I like Lashley. But it's clear they're turning Humberto into nothing more than a jobber Johnston. And they have not one iota of a how you doing on what to do with Bobby Lashley. So this becomes nothing more than just filler. And people see through that. For months and months, it is clear they want to push Bobby Lashley. You can see it, but they don't know what to do with him. So he's in these weird storylines like the one with Rusev and Lana, and he's winning odd matches like this one with Humberto, and then losing to Aleister Black in just a couple of minutes at WrestleMania. It's yin, it's yang, it's 50-50 booking, it's fucking horrible because we all have to sit back and watch it. And again, this is coming from somebody that likes Lashley. I think there's a huge place in that company for Lashley. This company just doesn't know what to do with its superstars anymore. Somebody with the talent like Humberto? I think back of the few weeks ago when so many superstars got released. And I think about what I used to say all the time, and you hate to see people lose their jobs, but I almost feel like it was just, there's no I almost feel, I do feel this way. There was just way too many people on the roster. And if the company knew what to do with all of that roster, then it wouldn't have been an issue. The company doesn't even know what to do with its top stars. So by the time you get to the mid-card, you have to feel bad for the entire roster. And then you get to the fucking people at the bottom of the barrel, you might as well just cut them loose. It sucks that people will lose their job, but that's only going to help them out, trust me, in the long run, because they can find actual worth professionally, because McMahon is not going to give it to them. I think back of when everybody got cut, and maybe there wasn't enough cuts. Because the company is suffering from having too many people. They don't know what to do with them, or they just refuse to give a shit. And in the process, it's not helping these individuals professionally, and when you're not happy professionally, you ain't gonna be happy personally. There's life outside of WWE. You talk to all of those sumbitches that got cut a few weeks ago, they're in a really good place right now. A lot of them in high spirits. They can't wait for their 90 days to be up. I wonder why. The first initial shock and hit, I just lost my fucking job. Yeah, that's hard. But then you start thinking about how much you were tied down, and that's what we're already starting to hearing from the people that got cut. How this is a fucking blessing in disguise, tenfold. I know I'm going off on another side rant here, guys, but it's just, you see matches like Humberto and Lashley, and you're just wondering, why are we seeing this? If it was setting something up, that's fine. Like back in the 80s, you would see something like the Big Boss Man versus fucking Hank Henderson. Just a fucking jobber versus Big Boss Man. But why was it intriguing? Because it was leading to something. You knew that somebody like the Mountie was going to come down to the ring and fuck up Big Boss Man, leading to their big match at like a SummerSlam. Or you knew that Nails, you guys remember Nails? Big Boss Man's arch nemesis, man. You knew he was going to make an impact at some point during that Big Boss Man jobber match. So that's what I mean. Big Boss Man versus a jobber. Tito Santana versus a jobber. Mr. Perfect versus a jobber. That was more interesting than what we're seeing today with somebody like Humberto and Lashley, because it leads to nothing. Hope this makes sense, guys. I mean, these are my concerns. Anyway, moving on. Angel Garza, he defeats Tozawa in about 4 minutes via the wing clipper. For some reason, Garza and Austin Theory are bickering like a couple of stepsisters fighting for their daddy's attention. This was just odd. This group just formed a few weeks ago. How are they already fighting with one another? It doesn't matter anyway, because WWE Champion Drew McIntyre hit the ring and literally claymored the shit out of every one of them. While they're over there fighting with one another, Drew McIntyre's like, I'm going to make a fucking statement. And he claymores the dome piece off of each one of their fucking shoulders. In fact, after a commercial, we went right into a champion versus champion matchup. U.S. title holder Andrade versus WWE champ Drew McIntyre. This match ends hour number 1 and takes us deep into hour number 2. It was a solid match for sure. I mean, it's Andrade and McIntyre. I'm not surprised. Nothing like what they did in NXT, obviously, but still a solid fucking match. Drew picks up an impressive W and continues to dominate. I'm loving Drew McIntyre's booking, guys. We've been asking for this for years. We finally get somebody to get a championship, A, that deserves it, B, that we know can go in the ring and carry lengthy storylines, and the company is actually backing it. What a crazy concept. The fans are telling you, we like this dude, put the strap on him and give him a chance, and the company is actually doing that. What a crazy fucking concept. A champion that's worthy of that strap gets it and is booked dominantly. That's what we're seeing out of Drew McIntyre so far. So I'm loving that. Post-match, Drew announces a match with Baron Corbin for next week on Raw via a brand invitational or some shit. They got a special name for it, something like brand invitational. It's basically a fancy term for what we already know. The brand split is done. It is over. This is just the beginning of it, guys. And I'm not even going to fault WWE for it. During the times that we are in right now, there's a lot of superstars that are choosing to stay at home. So I'm sure Vince is like, let's just, in order to try, I don't know if he's actually trying or not, but in order to make it give the illusion that I'm trying maybe, who knows what's going on in the old man's dome piece. But I'm going to put a bunch of superstars. It doesn't matter the fucking brand. I'm going to bulk the show up with known names. And we're starting with Baron Corbin, and I wouldn't be surprised if within a few weeks we're seeing Daniel Bryan over there. AJ Styles is switching brands a time or two. Drew McIntyre shows up on SmackDown. I would not be surprised if this is just the beginning of a lot of superstars switching over 1, 2, 10 fucking times over the summer. Or maybe this becomes the way it's going to be. Even when a crowd, fucking fans are in attendance again, maybe the brand split is definitely over once and for all. But I knew this was coming. With what's going on in the world and Vince being kind of pressed up against the wall, the squeeze was on. In something like the brand split, I knew Vince was thinking it was only hindering him. And a lot of people up front would say, that's a good thing, right? End the brand split. Then we get better matches, right? Superstars nothing is stopping one person from fighting another anymore. But here's my thing, guys. If you go back and do your research, even when the brand split was not in place, WWE was basically at rock bottom. So don't think this is going to help. Or you can. I mean, you can have your own fucking opinion, but I'm trying to help you out here with just facts. There's opinion and then there's fact. It's going to take a lot more than just ending a brand split. So I don't know what anybody is truly excited for, if you are, to see Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin next week on Raw. And again, this is just the start of it. This brand split being over. This opens the floodgates. And expect to see a lot more of it going forward. Next up, we have the Women's Tag Team Champions, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, for a moment of bliss. And their guests was the return of the Iiconics. That's right. The Iiconics are back. I'm sure there are many fans happy to hear those words, but I'm also sure many fans are doing the hand-to-face emoji. I never minded the Iiconics, and I always felt that there was a place for them eventually on the main roster. The problem I had with them is they were called up too soon. So that's really no fault of their own. And it showed. They were green as fuck. That's just the truth, guys. Interestingly enough, before they were taken off TV, they were actually improving. I was seeing real progress, and then poof, they were gone. Anyway, they were back last night, and it didn't take long for the claws to come out between these four ladies. In fact, it led to a tag team match between both teams. Iiconics versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. This was non-title, and it only lasted about 5 minutes before Peyton Royce defeated Alexa Bliss, and the Iconics beat the tag team champions. Typical WWE. How do challengers earn their title match these days? By already booking them to beat the champions. We see it time and time again. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. And sure enough, just about 10 minutes after the Iconics defeated Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, the announcement was made that next week on Raw, the Iconics will be taking on Alexa and Nikki. Or maybe it's going to be for Backlash. I could have sworn they said next week on Raw, though. The bottom line is the Iconics are now the #1 contenders for Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross's titles. Not only did they just come back last night and they already have a title match, but I wouldn't put it past the old man to actually give them the belts. I really wouldn't. They just came back, and they were thrusted into the title match. And the old man will probably give them the straps. It is what it is, man. Listen, is the Iconics any fucking worse than Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss right now with the titles? And I like Alexa Bliss. But come on, man. This title reign is just as insignificant as Bayley and Sasha Banks' title reign was. Titles are meaningless until the company puts an emphasis on the titles and makes them serious and meaningful. They're never going to be deemed as such. I don't know. Iconics are back and they could be champions by the end of next week. I can't believe I'm saying that. 6-man schmoz is next with MVP, Shane Thorne, and Brendan Vink versus Cedric, Ricochet, and R-Truth. And Truth's alter ego, Pretty Ricky. If you're unfamiliar with Pretty Ricky, just imagine the craziness of R-Truth. Now times that by 12, and you got Pretty Ricky. Truth hits MVP with the lie detector and collects the W. Post-match, Bobby Lashley comes back out. He's got this new obsession with R-Truth, and he attacks Truth, beats him down, and he looks at MVP, and Lashley tells MVP, we need to talk. So it looks like Lashley is about to kick Lana to the curb and take in the graces of MVP. I think that's much better than Lana, obviously, right now. I think a combination with MVP and Lashley is going to be better, but don't get it twisted. Unless they put some real creativity into this, it's going to be just as bad as Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley. Right? We've seen Lashley with Lio Rush, it didn't really work. We've seen Lashley with Lana, it didn't really work. Now we see Lashley with MVP. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Where they're just doing the same thing over and over with Lashley, just with a different person every time. They're going to have to get super creative. They're going to have to do something really unique between Lashley and MVP for any of us to give a fuck. Up next, Shayna Baszler cut a scathing interview backstage on Becky Lynch. Shayna said, and I quote, how stupid do you have to be to get knocked up while you're the champion? She said, here's a fun fact. 10 out of 10 women will try and convince themselves that having a kid didn't ruin their careers. You mean to tell me she was the longest reigning women's champion and she threw it all away to sit fat and barefoot at home eating bombs? That kid's gonna suck. Just look at who the father is. End quote. Wow. Shayna Baszler not giving one fuck about Becky Lynch. Shayna Baszler not giving one iota of care about Becky Lynch and her future family. Damn! Mic drop. If Shayna Baszler didn't... If you were not on board with Shayna Baszler to begin with, if she didn't make you give her a second look last night, or if she didn't raise your eyebrow just a bit last night, then I don't know what you were watching. Shayna Baszler has all the tools. She just needs the chance. Man, that was an awesome promo she cut on Becky Lynch. And on top of that, who better to do it than Becky Lynch? Or, I'm sorry, Shayna Baszler on somebody like Becky Lynch. I mean, it totally fit. It's too bad it's not toward a feud. You know, Becky Lynch can't do anything about it, obviously. She's pretty pregnant. But, man, Shayna Baszler, I can't give enough praise. In fact, she took on Natty later on in the night. And I like this match, guys. It was like an ultimate game of wrestling chess. They toned it down. They didn't try to do too much. There was a lot of trash talking, and they truly made you believe that each one is truly trying to make the other know and realize that I'm better than you. There was like something that both wanted to prove to the other. I really felt that in the storytelling that they put on last night. And it shows you that Natty could have been so much more in this business, but Vince McMahon only looked at her as someone that's basically a helping hand. Somebody that helped the green talent that's coming in, like Charlotte Flair. Natty was right there to help her. Ronda Rousey, Natty was right there to help her. Anybody that Vince McMahon, any female that Vince needs to work out the kinks, anybody that's just super green, that's what Natty is used for. And that's why it's always odd when Natty is the one that's going to end a title reign for someone like Naomi a few years back. It just doesn't make sense because you weren't booking Natty as somebody relevant. And then every now and again, Natty will be entered into a title picture. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's not Natty's fault. She had all the tools. They just booked her like a fucking moron. Irrelevant for 9 months out of the year. And then she'll have one main feud for the year. And then she's back to irrelevancy for 9 months. And then she'll have one feud. So every time Natty has a big match, nobody gives a fuck because why should we? You couldn't blame us. We didn't care about Natty because they gave us not one reason to care about Natty. But every now and again, you see those matches that Natty puts on and you realize, oh yeah, she's actually pretty fucking good. Pretty sad she was booked like the way she has been for the past decade. But I'm sure Natty's happy with her spot, man. Natty is one of those individuals that has a lifelong position in WWE. She never has to worry about her job. Not only is she still used on TV, not a lot, but here and there, but she's looked at in high regards backstage as somebody who can help out the younger talent and somebody who will absolutely have a producer role when her in-ring career is over. So I'm not saying Natty's not happy, but if you look at how good Natty truly is, still to this day, she could have been more. You know, and then when she's placed in title matches, you're like, I don't want to see this. And it's because she's been irrelevant for so long, you know, and they've just been playing the same song for years and years now. I don't know. I like Shayna Baszler and Natty's match last night. They just toned it down and they really made me kind of get involved in it. So, pretty good. Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, they took on Seth Rollins and Murphy last night. The match itself is not the story here. In fact, I believe the finish was a throwaway DQ, which made no sense. Am I the only one that noticed like the DQ came kind of fast and basically for no reason? I understand Seth Rollins wasn't the legal guy and he took out Mysterio, but Mysterio elbowed him first. So Rollins was just getting his just due. He was throwing some bows in on a guy who just hit him first. We see this all the time in tag team wrestling. We see it 100 times a match, actually. So that's just a fucking DQ, and I'm just supposed to go, oh, I didn't notice that. Don't worry. I'm one of the old man's sheep. I'll buy anything that WWE is selling. No, I'm not going to do that. I may be in left field with a hockey stick here. Maybe I'm the only one that noticed that, but I noticed that type of shit. That seemed like an odd DQ to me. Anyway, it was a DQ, and that's the thing. They were trying to get to that finish, right? They know that they want to have a throwaway DQ, but how you go about it means everything. They just don't care. They're like, let's have a throwaway DQ. How do you want to do it, Vince? It doesn't matter. No, Vince, it does matter because believe it or not, there's fans like the Amplified Man out there that are witnessing this, taking inventory of it, and we're not going to let it go. We want to believe in what we're watching. We want the finish to be realistic. You're DQing a dude for no fucking reason. Anyway, moving on. As I aforementioned, the match itself was not the story. Post-match was the real story here. Seth Rollins completely lost his shit and went savage on Mysterio. Legit crushing Rey's eye into the corner of the steel steps, even drawing blood. And the end of the segment was nothing short of fucking beautiful and brilliant. A close-up shot of a deranged Rollins as Mysterio screams out. And we kind of faded to black, almost like they would do if it was the end of Monday Night Raw. And we have a close-up of Seth Rollins completely lost his shit His hair's all fucking messed up. He looks like a fucking madman. And as we have this close-up shot, we hear Mysterio crying out, not just screaming, crying out in agonizing pain. And we fade to black, and it's not even the end of the show. I just love the end of that segment, man. It totally overshadowed the match, and again, that's a good thing, because the finish of the match is making us all fucking scratch our dome pieces like, what? Seriously? But they rectified that with the end of the segment, man, and what happened between Mysterio and Rollins. I truly like that tenfold. Now, Raw wasn't a complete calamity at this point, but still, I must have fallen asleep at some point, because I had an insane dream that the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders were playing, or at least attempting to play, a game of basketball. Don't ask. I have some crazy dreams sometimes. Moving on, I ended up waking up, which is always a plus, and we went to the main event spot, which was dedicated to Edge and Randy Orton, and I love this. Orton has become flawless on the mic. Can I just say that? I mean, I've watched Orton like all of you have for years and years, and he's never been known as somebody who's been comfortable and subsequently good on the mic. He just never was. But in the past year, this dude is hitting on all cylinders. Not only am I stepping back and saying, hey, at least I don't cringe anymore during an Orton promo, I'm now saying his promos are captivating. They have meaning and purpose and vindication behind them. Mad props to Randy Orton, man. We already know Edge can cut damn good promos, but Orton is getting better and better as he moves on in his career. And they had a face-to-face last night, and I totally enjoyed it. First of all, I enjoy these two anyway, apart from one another. So you put them together, and you're damn right I'm going to love it. Just like I did the build to WrestleMania. That was one of the best builds, one of the best stories heading into WrestleMania was Edge and Orton. We all can agree on that. And then the match that they had, 37 minutes, last man standing, beating the fuck out of one another all over the PC and beyond. Man, it was just awesome. I cannot express enough how much I love that last man standing match between Edge and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, man. They went to war. They gave them 37 minutes, and they beat the hell out of one another. And I know, in today's day and age, any match that goes over 20 minutes is just too long. Or any match that's over 20 minutes and doesn't involve a flip and a dive and a suicide this and a fucking triple salted moonsault, fucking crunched up sardine, whatever the fuck these moves are called these days. Any match that doesn't have glorified gymnastics and is over 20 minutes is going to get shit on. But an old school fan like yours truly, with two dudes like Orton and Edge, man, did that WrestleMania match deliver. And they sat in that ring, nobody was sitting around like fucking CM Punk and Aleister Black, but they stood in the middle of that ring last night, looked in each other's eyes, and Orton said, you know what I think, Edge? I think you know you don't have it anymore. And that's why since you came back, you were in two matches that aren't wrestling matches. The Royal Rumble and a last man standing match. Two non-traditional wrestling matches. So that tells me, Edge, you know, I can see it in your eyes. You don't got it anymore. And if you think you do, Backlash, a traditional wrestling match, you and I. And Edge has this concerned look like, no, motherfucker, I've known for a long time now. I've been questioning myself for the longest time. I've known for the longest. I've known for this entire 9 years that I am questioning myself. I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I can compete in a traditional wrestling match and walk out the winner, or much less even be worthy enough to be in a traditional wrestling match. I don't know. I'm questioning that. And Orton was calling him out on that. The story that these two can tell together is just absolutely brilliant. If I get to see these two in a wrestling match at Backlash in a few weeks, I'm all in. There's people bitching and complaining about that this morning. I cannot conceive the notion That is what you're gonna bitch and complain about. Yes, easily you could have said it should have ended at WrestleMania. The only way you keep it going is if you have a good story to tell. These two obviously have a good story to tell. Listen to Orton's promo last night. It makes sense. So what? You're going to cry about the fact that you're going to have 1 out of 7 or 8 matches be Orton and Edge at Backlash? Is that really what you're going to bitch and moan about, guys? I tell you, man, the community sometimes, I love it. I do. Proud to be a part of it for the most part. But there's just those times where, you know, it's the boy that cried wolf. When you bitch and complain about every single fucking thing, nobody's gonna believe you on the bigger selling points. When something comes along that we really need to be focused on and raise a big hoopla about, we really need to raise up our voices because something tragic is happening or something bad or something horrible, and we need to stand up as fans and really come together in unison and make sure it doesn't happen, or at least make our voices heard. Nobody's gonna believe us because we're bitching about everything. Oh no! We have to see Edge and Orton in a wrestling match. How fucking bad is this getting, 2020? Stop it. It's Edge and Orton. Fucking relax. The only bad part of that end segment last night was when Charlie Caruso at the end said something dumb like, if this happens, this will be the greatest wrestling match ever. And you can't just blame Charlie. She was actually fed that line, obviously, by Vince McMahon. But still, this is the dumbest thing you could have done to end that segment. You have something so awesome happening between the two. It should have been very personal, and it should have ended that way. It was very personal, but it didn't end that way. Instead, Charlie pops her head up like a fucking, what do you play, the whack-a-mole? The little fucking groundhog or mole, whatever the fuck it is, he pops up and you gotta fucking slam its head down. Charlie Caruso pops up out of nowhere and goes, if this happens, this will be the greatest wrestling match ever. And then we go off the air. So something so cool ends with Charlie Caruso ruining it. Thanks, Charlie. You're lucky you're sexy as fuck. I'm gonna let you off the hook a little bit here. That was your Monday Night Raw review and reaction for May 11th, 2020. Much love to all you guys. Think, be, live, amplify.